And I would like to start this episode to say thank you for somehow rediscovering the growth mindset in me, because I mean, and we can talk about it more, the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset, because I in everyday life and everyday coaching life, sometimes we just do things, and maybe the improvement goes very slow. So then we just forget uh, that we really can change, or that we can change the technically, tactically, and also we can change emotionally, like also with the connections, or the relationship with the parents, the relationship uh, with the coach and everything. So uh because no I mean uh that brings me to my first question. It's freezing, the the
Yeah, yeah,
camera.
it's freezing. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's
So
gonna be some technical difficulties today, but I think the sound will be okay, so it's okay.
yeah, so it's okay. So yeah, so that brings me to my first question, because today I would like to talk about the mindset a little bit, and mostly the difference between these two mindset. And the
Mhm.
first mindset is like, if when I was watching Rafa Nadal talking to young players, and there was like Fonseca, Menchik, and Mikkelsen, and they asked him several questions, and Fonseca asked him that how did he find always the will, and how did he always find the like that he fought until the last point. And Rafa said that
Mhm.
he always had fear to be, in the end of the day, when he goes to sleep, to be disappointed of himself,
Okay.
that he didn't try his best, and that he like didn't fight until the end. That's the first mindset, to have peace of mind that you gave your best today, and that's something you can control. The other mindset is like, I I didn't try my best because XYZ. So that's why I didn't try my best, because something happened. That's why I can have a peace of mind that if I would have tried, I would have won.
Mhm.
So these are the two mindsets which I would like to talk about with you today.
Mhm. I would say I'm actually, if you don't mind, I'll actually go back to the growth and fixed mindset and what you said about the that you discovered this thing that you can change or one can change because I think what it is, and I'm gonna go a bit more wide, but a bit more philosophical. But what it is that we are there's this idea that that I know from this guy John Vervaeke, who's a cognitive scientist and has a great series on YouTube called Awakening from the Meaning Crisis that I shared with you also in the past. And he talks about that there's these different ways of knowing, and us in the modern society are only got stuck in one way of knowing, which is one of it is believing that, which is like we kind of believe that if you believe things are like this, that's how you know. Like knowing means believing. And the great example he proposes, he shows is maybe you saw it, maybe not. It's called the nine dot problem. So nine dot problem is when you have imagine you have like nine dots and you're told like you have to connect all the dots using only four lines. and the lines have to be touching. So people start and they go like first they're like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, oh shit, that okay, I left something in the middle. Then I go like 1, 2, and then they get confused. Like, okay, how do I do this? Whereas what you can do is actually you go and you go like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to go outside of the square to complete the problem. But most people don't do it because we immediately project a square onto the dots and we think we have to stay in the square and then you can't do it. And that's where you have to go outside the box. That's where saying like thinking outside of the box comes
Yeah.
from. But we get stuck because we immediately get stuck in the patterns that we are used to using and then change or other way of looking at it is not possible. So and the problem is also if you told someone that you need to think outside the box, that's not going to help. It's not going to help them solve the problem. So it's
Yeah.
not about learning something new or believing some like it's using a different way of seeing the world, changing how you perceive. Um, so for example, for me, like I would tell you like my process, like when I work with a player and for me immediately it's not that I'm looking for something specific, it's more like I feel like okay there's something off here, something doesn't feel natural. It's more like feel for me, it's more like it doesn't feel natural and it's not something specific I'm seeing or something looks weird, like same like if you go through the forest and you look at trees and stuff and if there was like one tree with a plastic branch, you would look at the tree and you would be like something looks weird here. It's not natural. And then after, if you look closely enough, you see like the one branch is actually not real, but it's like a plastic branch or something, or the tree is painted or which you might not see at first looking at the whole forest, but like you even if you look at the whole forest, then you really like you would see like there's something off. I don't know what it is yet, but you know, and then you can explore. Um, so this idea of change, what you're saying, the opening up to change is one of the ways is like we have to get outside of our preconceived notions and outside of these patterns of like, I know what it should look like, or I know and the more we know, the harder it is. We have to always look at it through this like I don't know anything, because if you're looking for something specific or if you're looking for like, you know, something concrete, then you might miss it or you might not find it. And so I think it's about like exploring. So about when you say about the growth mindset or a fixed mindset, to come back to that, I would say the fixed mindset in my mind, the other way to call the fixed mindset is that you're stuck in your patterns. You're not thinking outside the box. It's like I think it was Steve Jobs. I think it was Steve Jobs who I saw. He was saying that a lot of times in a company, in a corporation, a company, like if you start exploring the systems that the company is using for different procedures, and you start asking the people of like, why are we doing it this way? The most common answer will be because we have always done it this way.
Yeah.
There's no, and nobody actually knows why we're doing this way. The only reason is that's just how we've been doing it. So there's no innovation, there's no actual, and then you actually start thinking about it like, okay, what is this system trying to accomplish or achieve? And you realize we can do it completely differently now. Why are we doing it this way? Oh, because we always been okay, fine. But what if from today we did something else? And that's going outside the box. That's going outside of the patterns, breaking the patterns. And especially I think people who are in like we're talking about tennis, and this applies anywhere. But we are in let's use tennis now as an example. Are in tennis. It's like they grew up learning some way, and their coaches grew up learning some way, et cetera, et cetera. And then you kind of have a fixed pattern of like this is how, and people don't ask why. People don't ask that question that Steve Jobs was asking, like, okay, why are we doing it this way?
Yeah.
Because the systems worked actually. Like they were not broken, like they were doing okay, but maybe they could be doing 10x better. It's just no one ever wondered about it, right? So I think the growth mindset is about asking all the time, like, okay, why are we doing it this way? Do we know actually why, or are we just doing it because that's just how other people do it, or that's just how, like we saw our coach do it, or whatever it is. And my camera froze again. That's cool.
Mm.
That's okay. That's fine. So yeah, so for me, the growth mindset and fixed mindset is I would conceptualize it that like that way. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting because I this idea came probably from Carol Dweck because I saw one of her TED Talk and I know she wrote a book about the mindset and she says like the the word which is important is yet. It's like I I don't know how to do it yet. And that's very important that it's like more future oriented
Yeah.
that you somehow you protect in the growth mindset, you protect the potential, and
Mhm.
in the fixed mindset, you protect the ego. And
Mhm.
how I try to, because I was thinking about it and also asking AI, how does it like is, and they said it's like in the tennis practice. I try to explain. I was explaining to my students today that it's like in the growth mindset, you sacrifice today's like pleasure from beating the opponent, but but you sacrifice it for the future success. And with the fixed mindset, you don't care that much about the potential or about the future, but you are just happy to win today. So you are like more today, which but it just robs you or you rob yourself from the faster, like going up, which is
Yeah.
also interesting.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It's a. I know Tony Robbins has a good saying in terms of business. He says like you actually have two businesses that you're working on. You have a business of today and business of tomorrow. You have to
Mhm.
work on both. So it's kind of if you only work on there are people if you only work on business of tomorrow, then yeah, you might innovate, etc. But you're not actually paying your bills today, and you're not taking care of the cash flow and taking care of your people and doing the boring things, but the necessary things to keep like to stay running. But if you also only taking care of the business of today, then your competition is gonna pass you because you're not innovating. You're just staying where you are. You're
Right.
surviving, you're doing okay, but you're not changing, you're not competing
Yeah,
actually with
yeah,
others.
yeah,
So the same you can look at tennis and we can apply for tennis where like, okay, are you just like maintaining your level? Are you improving? And I know Patrick Mouratoglou talked about that a lot of players that he worked with were like worried and asked him like, okay, like if we, train and all this, and then especially in pro tennis, you have tournaments all the time. So if you're always trying to like prepare just to be okay to play the next tournament, and he said then he was telling his players, he said that, but then you're never improving because you have tournaments literally. all year round. So then you're just maintaining your level because you're not training hard enough to actually improve because you're
Mm.
just always like, I'm just getting ready for the next turn. I'm just getting ready for a turn. I'm just getting ready for the next tournament. Where the best players, the better players are the ones who are like, we are using these tournaments to actually work on something. And then they can peak like, okay, I have like, for example, I have Grand Slams where I want to like, those are the ones that like, okay, I'm getting ready for. But the tournaments before are like, okay, I'm working on something we're working on in training that I'm like trying to improve, and I have these matches to actually try it out in these matches. And okay, if it doesn't work, I still can fall to my what I have and still win, like worst case. But I'm approaching the match from a very different mindset. I'm not trying to win, I'm trying to improve.
Yeah,
So it's just kind of setting the priority, and I think it's good to talk with the coach before the match and say like, okay, like what are we trying to do here? What's the goal? What's the goal of the match?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
sometimes the goal is like just okay, like win. Doesn't matter how, just win. Sometimes the goal is okay, like go more for kick serves because we've been practicing kick serves. So just use more kick serves, even though we know you have a great flat serve and you can make, but just go for kick serves and like, um,
Right. And when we come back to the question with the Nadal mindset and everything, what um what do you think? How did he develop the fear of being unsatisfied with himself? Like he was never complaining. He never he didn't have a fear of failure probably, but he always like had a fear that he didn't give his best, and that's why he was trying to give his best, and he was probably concentrating on the things he could control, like attitude and giving the best and solving problems and showing the opponent that he's always there. Or what do you think?
I think it's a good question. I think my first thought was he, because if we explore regret, like what can happen, right? You lose and then you regret losing. But you have two options basically. You can either say, I could have done more, or you can find an excuse. Like
Uh-huh.
you can say, whatever, I was cheated, I didn't feel it today, the ball, like the conditions sucked, or I didn't try,
Right.
or whatever. So I think that's the choice you're making. And that's also the choice you're teaching your brain over and over again. If you think about it, it's kind of like it's an automatic, after a while, it becomes an automatic decision that you make in that moment of experiencing pain. So you experience pain, you have always when you experience pain, we have three options. Option one is to blame. Blame others, blame the conditions, blame ourselves even. And even that's not useful, even if you blame yourself, because that's not taking a response. You're just blaming yourself. So that's what a lot of people do. That option is not useful. The other two options help, which is one is you change it. If you don't like it, change it. If you don't like it that you lost, like work harder in training. Or like if you don't like that you lost because you were double faulting, like change it. Work on your serve so you're not double faulting. If you don't like something, change it. And then the second one is change your mindset. So change how you look at it. So I would say the two, how you can combine them, if you lose, for example, is one is you change it. So you always look at, okay, what could I have done better? And I'm going into training now with like trying to change it. And the second one is I give myself also compassion of like, okay, there were some things I couldn't control that happened, and it's okay. It's happened. It's just one loss. I have a chance again next time. Um, but you do both. So with Nadal, you asked the question. The question was like, okay, how did he develop the mindset of like, I never want to have regret, so I always try. I think he probably from childhood, probably his uncle was conditioning him, and there's that there were like no excuses, but not in a way that was harsh, because then you can also take it to another extreme, right? That people are like, oh, it's all my fault, it's all on me, but that's actually not true. That's not productive. That's the first choice I said. That's the blaming. You blame yourself. That doesn't help. It's more like you look at things that are in your control and you own them. You take real responsibility. And by real responsibility versus fake responsibility is the fake responsibility is like you're blaming yourself and it's like, oh, it's all my fault. And it looks like responsibility, but it's not. It's a fake responsibility because you're not actually owning anything because you're just saying I'm terrible, it's all my fault. Like it doesn't mean anything. There's nothing concrete. Like what does that mean? But if somebody who says, okay, I didn't try enough, or I could have done this differently, or I could have done that differently, it's a real thing that they are taking responsibility for. And because it's real, the next time they can actually change it. They can do something about it. So I think they'll just train himself to have that mindset of like, and then it pays out because then if you actually do it from a young age, especially like him, if you can run, if you're fast, you can win a lot of matches just by being fast, just by getting balls back, even on a day when you're not playing that great. And Nadal was a great example of that, and Djokovic was a great example of that. That they were able, like even on the day that somehow they just didn't have the level, they just ran like hell and beat the players, or at least stayed long enough in there until they could find their level again.
That's what he said also in the interview, that he won so many matches, just that he played terrible, but he gave himself the chance to come back the next day. And maybe he plays a little bit better and then he comes back the next day
Yeah,
and he won some tournaments, and I said one of these matches can change your year. So
yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah. And I think what happens is if you do it like from childhood, you're conditioned, you're trained by the coaches and parents, like just work hard and you make that your baseline. That's like it becomes it doesn't it's not hard anymore. It's just normal. You know, for Nadal it becomes like that's just who I am. Like it's normal. It's not hard. And also and it becomes a reinforcing loop also because like he wins some matches like that, it teaches his brain like it's worth it, it works, right? Why wouldn't I be like that? And I actually think Nadal, when we look at young Nadal, that was his mindset. Like that was the typical Spanish, like I'm gonna run you into the ground. I'm just gonna run like hell. You're not gonna get any balls past me, and until like you're just don't want to play me anymore. And then, but sometimes, of course, there was one extreme. And then as he went on, he also developed, he realized like, okay, but I don't have to run all the time. I can also beat some players with actually just playing aggressive and having like, I don't, because my level is, and my shots are that much up that, you know, like the running was his foundation that he started off with. And then he built from there.
Mm,
Just like for Karlovic, the foundation was the serve,
yeah.
or for Kyrgios, or for other players, you know, for Roger also. So I think in tennis, I would say those are the two kind of, now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking about it out loud, I'm realizing like those are kind of two basic foundations you can build from is like one is you run and you just make balls back, and everyone's like, even if you don't play great on the day, but you can still like use the legs, or you have the serve as a foundation. Even I'm not playing great, but I'm holding my service games well, so I'm staying in there and something. And even if I'm playing that bad, maybe I will break him somehow. I'll just risk it.
Yeah.
So you see, those are the two kind of
Mm,
groups of players that's their foundation, and those are the best players because that's the consistency. Because we know to be one of the best in tennis is not about being great once, it's about like you have to be consistently good. So you need to have something that's always there for you.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Interesting, interesting. And I also I prepared some other questions. I mean, they are like similar. Now at the tournament, I saw some players, like older players, when they starting to lose against the younger players,
Mm.
they try to like save or protect their ego, and they retire. And that's also probably, I mean, a big sign of the fixed mindset, that they just trying to like look, don't lose the hierarchy or ego or whatever.
I mean, I think we had a similar topic last week when we talked. It's a similar topic of like when you put the too much pressure is put on the outcome. It's like we talked,
Mm,
like we talked about this, that you have to train the kids to for the effort, like
yeah,
from the little kids. Like what needs to be looked at is like how much effort you're putting in, not are you winning or losing,
yeah,
because that's the foundation. The effort is needs to be the foundation, not like skill or talent or
yeah,
the discipline is the foundation. Do you have the discipline built?
yeah,
If you have the discipline, then you're just it's pure mathematics. Like you're just gonna show up more than everybody else. And some days gonna be great, some days gonna be not so good, whatever, but you're gonna show up over and over and over again. And something great is gonna happen. And I think that's why going back to realizing that's either the legs or the serve both require amazing discipline because those are the things that no one else wants to be doing. Like most players, 99% all the other people don't want to be doing fitness to that level of like over and over again and getting stronger and getting fit because it's not fun, maybe. And also a lot of people don't want to just serve like baskets over and over and over again because it's not as much fun.
yeah,
So what separates so they don't build that foundation, either one or the other or both, you know. Um, I think Roger was one of the best in the world because he had a good amount of both. He had a amazing like he wasn't as good of a runner as Nadal, and he wasn't as good of a server as it's gonna be interesting now that we cut the recording. It's like where it was, but it's okay.
yeah.
I think I also managed to fix my uh let's see if it will work. Maybe.
We'll see.
No,
So
but
maybe, yeah,
I was just saying that yeah, you have the discipline first, and if you have the discipline, then you can also build a foundation. Whether it is, I mean, probably depending on what your strengths are. For some people, maybe they're more leaning towards like a big serve, like a big service guy, and for others, maybe more like the athleticism and like more running. And either or both, you need a lot of discipline to build that foundation. That both of these things help you a lot on the days that you might not play great, but they can save you, you know.
would you say also that like takes the pressure off when you go to the match and you just don't go there that okay, I'm not gonna lose this one. I will do everything not to lose this one because I'm gonna feel terrible. But on the other way, you say, no, I'm gonna give everything. Nothing's gonna like break me. The attitude will be always there. I'm gonna try my best until the last point. If I can do that, that's something I can do and I will do it 100%. And that takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Mhm. Because that's what you can control.
Yeah.
Again, if you focus on what you can control, you feel empowered.
Okay.
If you focus on what you can't control, you feel powerless because literally you are powerless because you don't have power to control that.
Yeah.
So you focus on winning or losing, you can't control winning or losing because you don't know what's going to happen, how you will
Yeah.
play, how the opponent will play,
Yeah.
what will happen. 'Cause you can play amazing, but the opponent might have the best match of his life and can play a little bit better, and you can still lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you focus on like I'm gonna give my best, you know that I can control that, and then then you feel more relaxed, and especially if going back, if your best, meaning like you know that your strength is good enough, like whether it is the serve or whether it's the running or whether it is like, yeah, either it's like I'm not gonna make any unforced errors because when I like really try, I can like put balls in somehow, or if I really focus, I can like hit big serves and get the serve in, and create opportunities to like win the service games and put pressure on the guy, to have to do something on his service games, etc. Like the movement, the running, and the serves are all in your control
Mm.
in tennis. All the other things are not.
Mm. Yeah. True. It's like Milos Raonic says also in that interview that he realized he's gonna be tall like his dad, and he knew that the serve is in his control. He's tossing the ball, and he was just serving and serving and serving, and he developed one of the best serves in the game. So, and once again, back to the basic or the first question, like, what would you say is the biggest danger, or why is it bad? Like, is it bad for the future, or just it's not like the what is the difference between peace of mind of protecting ego and peace of mind that I tried my best? Like they're both peace of mind, but somehow I don't know if the other one is like superficial, like not that deep or something as the basic one, or what would you say?
What do you mean by protecting ego, like peace of mind of protecting ego? What do you mean?
It's like the second mindset, probably the fixed mindset that I didn't lose my face, my ego, because I said, today I didn't have my racket strung properly, or they they just stole 2 points from me or whatever, or today I didn't feel good, my hand was hurting. So if I tried, or next time if I play him, I'm gonna beat him. So I don't lose my somehow ego, and I tank the match somehow. And we know a lot of players who did that. So I have a peace of mind, you know? It's like the saying, it's better to lose 1-1 in the final than 7-6 in the third, from 3 match points. Like you have the regrets, like more, or it hurts more. then if you are not trying because the opponent plays good, okay, I'm too tired today. 6-1, 6-1, and you feel fine. You like, okay, you take the money, you take the points, and it's final. Now it's nice.
Mm.
Like why is it like why the peace of mind is there, you know?
I mean, first, like it's only the people who do that can really say what's happening
Right.
inside of them. But I would argue that I would question if there really is a peace of mind
Mm,
because I think that question of like, what if I did something more can still be there. And I think that's where, like Nadal said after his career, that he has a peace of mind because he did his best. He was the guy who could really say that because every time he actually did his best. Because I think if you do your best and you feel, and we all know when we all know when we're doing our best. Like I think that's something, but only we know. Like no one else from the outside can tell you could
yeah.
have done more or not because maybe you couldn't have because and also the problem is a lot of times the players judge themselves. Right? I see this with young players all the time. They judge themselves against their best game ever.
Hmm.
So one time they played this level, and now suddenly, like, I have to play this level all the time, otherwise, I'm not doing my best. So the problem is, like, doing your best again, like I said, is we are analyzing it based on outcome, not based on process. It's not based on are you doing your best, meaning are you trying your best with what you have today? It's like we're looking at are you doing your best as in like what the best that you we know how you can play ever. And that's I think is the big mistake. Because what happens if you judge yourself based on your ideal, because that's your ideal, you're always going to feel like sometimes you're going to be there, but then you can't win because if you're there, then it's like normal. And if you're not there, then you're not doing your best. You're not good enough. So most of the time, you're not good enough. So and I froze again. It's okay. Um, so I think that's the fundamental problem. Yeah. Because if you realize doing your best has nothing to do with the outcome, it's just the internal feeling of like I tried, with all the physical uh capabilities I have on the day, all the emotional capabilities on the day, all the mental like understanding of the game that I have on the day, and I used all of that to the best capacity that I had on the day, and then I lost. I know like okay, I couldn't do more. And it's okay because next time I'll go back to training and I'll increase my capacities and I increase my floor and I increase my ceiling and I move it up so then there's still the range and next time the range will be enough even if it's like lower. Um, and that's okay.
And that is the fundamental of the growth mindset. That I mean, I'm just I'm trying my best, and then I bring the growth mindset also into the practice, and I work and I believe I can change because it's growth mindset. So I believe I can change. I just don't have, I'm not there yet, but I'm still like growing. Next time, if I again go there and put and the next time and the next time, and it goes. Yeah.
I think a good metric, if you want like a metric to look at, is like how many points of the match were you unaware or not present? think that's a great metric that you can look at, like, that you just weren't there. Either
Mm.
either physically, meaning like actually doing your best physically or mentally or emotionally. And usually it's like combination of all, because if you're not there mentally or emotionally, you're also not there physically, etc., etc. Um, so how many, that's a good metric to look at, and you will, and trying to minimize the amount of points in the match that you were just not present, that you just were gone, that you were either like not moving like your best, or not like being there mentally your best, like focusing, or being emotionally like all over the place, or not there. Um, I think that's a good metric, because all those things are in your control. You can you can control, like, how much are you on your feet and running after every ball and not stopping early, but actually going after every ball. You can control that, like you can work on controlling your focus, that you realize, like, when the focus wanders, you bring it back. That's what meditation is for. And you can control your emotions even. You can realize, like, you can learn how to work with the emotions and regulate the emotions, and bring yourself back. So all those things are in the control, and that's a good metric, I think.
Also, the body language you can control.
Exactly. Exactly. All these things you can control, and I think that should be the focus. But the focus is more on, like, am I winning or losing, or how am I hitting the ball? Um, you know, where am I, like, how fast am I hitting, or how close to the lines, or is it going in or out? Am I winning, losing, like, and a lot of those things, like, that are not, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not,
Yeah, and also I would like to end the topic, maybe also practical, even though we already spoke about it, like how to develop it in our players. Like, of course, you said, like, praising the effort, and also to put the focus on what they can control and not what they can't. So yeah, probably. But do you have maybe any other tip? Maybe also starting from the very young, and then maybe a bit older and older. But what would you say?
I would say I would go back to, like, martial arts, which are thousands of years old, and it's kind of this idea that the discipline is built through the little things. So you create a culture of discipline in the club, on the court, just like you see in martial arts, in the real, like, dojos, and it's like there's rules. There's, like, you come and you, like, bow before you enter the mat, and there's all these little traditions or rules that are there, rituals, because rituals build discipline. Why? Because it's something you have to do over and over and over again. That has some utility, but might not necessarily be, like, pleasant or something. It's just, this is what we do. So you want to train your mind to be able to pick up habits, pick up rituals, pick up disciplines, because then serving aces is just a habit if you practice the habit. You know, Running full after every ball, it's just a habit if you do it all the time. That's why I go back to saying Nadal was not working hard. It was just who he was. He didn't know any other way, because his brain was taught so much that the ball is there. I go full out every ball. I go after it every time. there's like you could probably you have to be very hard to force him to not do that. It would be hard for him to not do that because
Right.
it's just it's a habit. So I think we are creatures of habit as humans, and we have to recognize that everything is a habit. So it's not actually building habits, but it's building the right habits because we all have habits. Like not like going after the ball kind of or at 60% is also a habit that you just developed over and by doing it over and over and over again. Or not serving aces is also a habit because once you figure it out how to hit that serve, like you just do it over and over again and you focus on doing it the same way or a similar way over and over again until it becomes the only way how you can do it. And that's why I'm using the footwork or the serve again, because we know in tennis those are the things that you can actually create a habit of because there's no external, it's only up to you, you know. Um, So I would say that, yeah, you have to create the environment that's full of these little disciplines, and that and it shows kids that how it's useful to have structure and to have these disciplines and how it's working for them over time. That, you know, like we are doing this, and if you do this over and over and over again, you get this. And also, but also I would say not even just get something, but sometimes you have to like do it just to do it. Like not thinking about like do I get something out of it? It's just no, just do it.
Interesting. And would you say also that's why he had also so many rituals?
Could be. I mean, we don't know. It could be also it could have been like OCD and like, you know, he was all over the place. He needed this, or maybe it helped him to stable his mind. Because we know that all players have rituals, you know, like before serving. Nadal was the extreme where he had rituals, even changing sides, even like, you know, but we know that these kind of habits or rituals help you normalize because if you do it the same every time, then suddenly you don't differentiate so much between it's the first point of the match or it's like I have a match point or the opponent has a match point. It makes it easier to approach the point just like another point because you're preparing exactly the same way.
Hmm.
This is what I see a lot of players also make a mistake of like, and coaches like you train at a certain intensity or something, and then there's like, oh, the tournament is coming, so now we have to do something different. And then it just creates stress because that's telling the brain of like, oh, something like different is happening and all this, you know, and also then and also players play differently at a tournament than they play in practice. Because in practice it's like whatever, and now it's important in tournament, and then they play completely differently, and then they don't know how to play because they actually don't practice that playing in the practice because it's a
Hmm.
different playing.
Yeah.
So it's disciplining yourself to play like you like to practice like you play. That's like the
Hmm.
famous line, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Practice like you compete because then you train your mind to not differentiate. It's we're doing exactly the same thing. It's not something different.
Yeah, and sometimes, like we discussed last time, that sometimes it feels like different personality. You are in the match and then in the practice. Like I and if you like learn to switch it, that you can really like put yourself into personality of a match play, even in the practice, even in the forehand cross, or even in the practicing the serve. But you really like in that mindset, then you're really practicing something.
Mhm.
Or
I
maybe
think that,
you can practice all week long, but it doesn't stick because you're not there. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think about the working hard and stuff. I think you can learn to love working hard. The like after a while, the kind of like what other people think of as suffering, like I don't want to, like it's too much or something. It just becomes normal, and also you learn to actually enjoy it because your brain learns that, look, every time I do this, I actually feel good afterwards because, again, we go back to the topic. I feel I gave it my all, so I feel proud of myself. I feel I have
Mm.
no regrets. I don't my mind is clear. I'm at peace. So that feeling of peace reinforces next time I want to do it again full, because again I want to have that peace. And then you get into this great loop that you actually start enjoying the heart. It's like going to the gym, like when you start, like when you go, you don't feel like going, but then like afterwards you feel great. And
Yeah.
the trick is, can you associate the great feeling afterwards to the work, to going to the gym? Like, which one will you associate the working out to? To the going to the gym and the pain of doing it, or to the how great I feel afterwards? Which one do you connect to it? Because if you connect how great I feel afterwards, you will enjoy. Like you will go to the gym of like, much more likely you will go like, okay, like, or at least it won't be as much suffer. It will be like, okay, like this is something I do.
It's like I saw an interview of Cooper. I think it was like the favorite rock and roll star. And he just felt in love with golf. And he said that he stopped drinking or all his addictions and he switched it for golf because the feeling he gets when 1 out of 10 swings, he just hits it perfectly and he can play all day long just to wait for the next perfect shot.
Mhm.
And that's addictive, he said. So that's interesting. And also I remember, like you said, that the players are comparing themselves to the best result, mostly the young players. I also remember that I was always looking for the not maybe the flow moments, which is like 2 3 times a year, but for the moment that I survived the first round, survived the second round, maybe then quarterfinal, I figure something and it's gonna be better. But I know that semifinal, final, I'm gonna feel fucking great, and I knew that it's gonna be easier and the ball is going to fly from my hand and I'm gonna feel everything. And that was the feeling I was looking for. I knew that it's not gonna be there in the first round most of the times. But I knew if I survive the first rounds, it's gonna be there. And I loved it to
Mhm.
be on that. Yeah.
I wonder if it's because, now I'm just speculating. I wonder if it's because like you come to a new environment. Again, it's that thing of like it's something different.
Hmm.
So you have to be there, and you're there too much. Like you're too much trying to control things because it feels like it's everything is different and unsure and this and then at some point that you won some matches and you're
Yeah.
happy with yourself. You already know the environment, you know the courts, you already have your routine of like going from the hotel to the courts and back and where you're gonna go eat. So there's less and less things that your mind has to like control and calculate. So it becomes known. And at some point it becomes like you can just let go. And the flow and the playing is like you're just not worried. Like you're just not there because it's like, I wonder if that's the, because I heard Andy Roddick the other day on the podcast talk about like how he, one of the things was like I like to come to the tournament early so I can get into the routine of like seeing where the practice courts are, know where the hotel is, how we're gonna go from the hotel, and this. And I never thought about it, but it totally makes sense that that's all like added stress that you don't think about as stress in the moment, but it's taking some mental power from you. All this, like, I don't know where I am, like, where do we go practice? Like, you know, how do we get there? How long? Like, all these things are in your mind, and then you have to get on court and, like, like, but when all of that is taken care of, then you can just be there.
Mm. I always I always felt like two things. That the first thing is like what you can feel. It's like, okay, the balls are different than last week. Okay, the attitude maybe is different. The chords are maybe slower, faster. So you have to like really figure out and select the variety of the shots that work better for you. Okay, maybe last week my wide serve was off, but this week is really working because on these chords it's working. Okay, so I take it as okay, I can use it here. Maybe I can use kick maybe more here and I couldn't last week, you know. So these are the things you can really like figure out and strategically like, and then there is the second, and that's like, you know, the feeling you play first round and you really struggle and you don't feel the ball and everything, and then you just play in 2 3 hours the same day, you play the next round
Mm.
and you suddenly you play 30 40 50 60% better. And I always thought that it's like that you gave your mind that the because the mind, it doesn't somehow think that, or is doubting. It's like, can I do it here on these curves with these balls and this quickness and everything? Can I do it here also what I can do everywhere? And you have the question mark. But then if you do it and you've done it in the morning, then there are less question marks. Like, okay, I done it. I just so the mind knows already. And then if you do it the second round, the third round, then like you said, you don't have the doubts anymore because you've done it yesterday and the day before. So you like, okay, now I can relax. I know it's working. I know I'm okay. I select my type of shots and the mind knows that I did it last 2 days. So now the fun starts. But the problem is with the young players, they think that this is gonna be always, it's, but you have to like go there, and it starts from quarterfinal, semifinal,
And
maybe
that, and
not
that's
there.
and that's the maturity, I mean,
Yeah,
that's general, not just in tennis. That's like the older you are, the more you see the bigger picture.
yeah,
Young you are, the more you focus like only
yeah,
this moment matters.
yeah,
And like whatever is happening in this moment is the only thing that's happening.
yeah,
What I mean? And that's just normal. It's just human nature because like the shorter you live your life, the more you feel like I'm only this is happening. The longer you live your life, the more you had moments when you realized multiple times that I thought that was the only thing that's happening, and then it wasn't. And then again, I thought, and then it wasn't. And at some point, you realize, like, okay, maybe I have to look at it more long term because, you know.
yeah,
So I think that's also why a lot of the players, are peaking between 20 25 or something, like as the maturity also comes. And so that's one thing I want to say. And the other thing, what you said about the mental, I think sometimes it doesn't have to be mental that you don't have doubts anymore in the later rounds. It might be also just purely, or it's actually connected, that it's purely just also physical, that like your body gets calibrated. Like you're literally, because tennis is so like small margins. If we think about it, it's like literally like millimeters of angles
yeah,
difference. of what's going to happen, and like of how much in front or behind and what angle is the racket. It's just it's millimeters. So literally we have to physically, your mind has to like calibrate to the surface, to the conditions, to the balls, to, like your strings have different tensions and different humidity and different bounce and all this. So it's like you have to recalibrate. And that's why this is why tennis is so, there's something I think the fans watching on TV can't really comprehend or appreciate, like how much that's the real skill in tennis. Can you recalibrate every week
Mm, mm.
to and who does it faster, in the first rounds. And that's the kind of, and also that's why the best players are best players also, in the fact that, like, okay, they play until the final, then they go to next week, and all these other players, the field has been already practicing on these courts for like a whole week because they lost the tournament before. So now you're playing a guy in the first round who has been practicing on these conditions, these courts for a week, and you just came from completely different conditions, and can you win? So that's why a lot of times these best players have to like either have that much higher level, and they're so good that they can recalibrate instantly within 2 games or 4 games, or a set at worst, that they lose the first set, and they like, we see this all the time, like first round, like, like the best players, and it's like he lost the first set, first round, everyone's going like, oh my God, what's happening? And then he wins 6-2, 6-2, and then he's fine the next rounds. So I think there's something that we don't appreciate, like how much that calibration is there. So it doesn't have to be, and I think when you said about the doubts, it's connected, because if you're not calibrated, then there is doubts because your mind's going like, I don't feel safe here because I'm still not comfortable. I'm still calibrating,
Yeah.
and once you get there, you're like, okay, I'm calibrated, And that's also then that's where we go into strategy and tactics in tennis, right? Where that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to throw the other guy out of his calibrated mode. You're
Yeah.
trying to find some pattern, some spin, some shot, some speed or something that he's not calibrated to, which creates the doubts of the mind again, going like, I don't know how to deal here because I don't know this. I don't know how to do this. So this is, I think, a good way to kind of conceptualize it or think about it, like who is better calibrated, and who can throw who better out of the calibration. And it's either going to be the court itself, like you don't even have to do anything. It's like sometimes you see this, especially in junior matches, it's more about, it's not even about like them playing against each other, it's like them playing against the conditions.
Yeah.
It's like who handles the conditions better is going to win. It doesn't matter what the other guy is doing. It's like we're fighting the court or the wind.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, so it's and then we go back to and to close the talk, I think we bring us back to the growth mindset and what I was saying at the beginning about the patterns, because to be able to calibrate well to new conditions, you have to have an open growth mindset. Because if you have a fixed mindset, you're too rigid and you can't calibrate. You're like, it's like water versus ice. The rigid closed mindset is like your ice, and then okay, you're gonna fit into this glass well, and then the next glass you're forcing yourself in there and it just doesn't fit, and then you say like, okay, I guess this is not my glass.
Yeah.
And the water's like, I don't care, like I'm just okay, I flow here and then I go into this glass, and like it can adapt, it can recalibrate, and that's what the best players are so good at, to adapt, um, to
Yeah.
a new surface, new conditions, new generation of players. We've seen this with Roger, no, Novak and Nadal. The reason they have so many Grand Slams is because they reinvented themselves over and over again, like multiple times. They were able to change their game, even, which is something that is so difficult for most people. Is like you have something that is working so well, and you throw it out the window, and you try something new, and you don't hold on to it. Even
Yeah,
though you won 10 Grand Slams with this game, and you're able to
yeah,
actually realize that it's not working anymore and it's the Steve Jobs thing. Like, why are we doing this? Because we always done it. Like, no, that's not a good reason. Like, we need to change it. You constantly reinventing yourself, and that's the growth mindset. Uh,
yeah. So only thing that really gonna be always current or stay always the same, it's like the adaptation. It's gonna be always which player is gonna need to have.
adapt or die. And because evolution is about adapt or die at the
Mhm.
level of, again, like I always say, we're first human and then we're tennis players. It's like that's what's also rewarded. If you approach tennis through like adaptation, it's your brain is millions of years of evolution wired it to actually that's rewarding. That's what we enjoy. Like every time we adapt and it works, we get like a dopamine boost. We get like we like that, you know. We figure it out. We figure out the problem, we find a way, like boom, that's enjoyable. And then it also the tennis becomes fun because it's so we are wired as humans to adapt to and solve problems. So when you approach tennis through like solving problems and adapting and solving problems, you're gonna enjoy it, you know, compared to when you just say like, okay, I want to protect like how I am and hopefully the environment changes so it fits me.
You see, that was the best thought in the end. Perfect.
Uh,
Good. Okay. So you saved the best for last, so that was perfect. Good. Thanks a lot.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, see you next time.
See you, man.